Hi, I'm Jim O'Grady, Kevin's older brother. And if you didn't know that, you might be in the wrong place. Good angle, Herman? Who just walked in? We will show that montage a little later, by the way, if you just walked in. We would like to thank all of you who came here this evening. Some of you knew Kevin very well. Some of you are here to support Kevin's family, and we greatly appreciate that. This eulogy will help you to understand more about our brother Kevin and all that he was. Our brother Kevin Michael O'Grady, at the age of 63, died suddenly of a heart attack on August 11th, 2022, while in the care of Emerge Rehabilitation in Glen Cove. Yes, that's a reverse shout out. Kevin was born December 21st, 1958, the third child of Patrick and Ray O'Grady in Queens Village, New York. Along with his, that's right, shout out for Queens Village. Along with his three siblings, Jim, Kay, and Tom, Kevin was raised by his beloved mom, Ray, and his amazing grandmother, Lillian Paget, whom he called Nana, at her house on 8936 214th Street. Shout out to 214th Street. Let's see. To say the least, Kevin was somewhat of a challenge to raise. He was very smart, he was very curious, and oh so very energetic. Because of these traits and his mischievous personality, at around 5 years of age, he ran into the glass French door in our house. He proudly displayed that large scar his whole life, right? Let's see. I should have wore the other glasses. Oh, by the way, I remember that those French doors and the wall it was on was soon taken out, most likely by Nana's direction. Kevin did not lack in intelligence, but he could not sit still, and he did not like authority. Let me read you some pieces of his report card. This is in 109. He's in 712. I don't know if you guys remember that. 712, it's down there. All right, but listen to his report card. These are his finals. English, 78. Social studies, 96. Math, 74. Science, 88. Shop, woodworking, 45. I don't think Kevin liked manual labor, I don't know. But, and these were some of the comments. First comment report. Good work, but Kevin's conduct could be improved. Second report. He's still doing good work, but Kevin's conduct, underlined in red, is deteriorating considerably. He will not sit still. Third report. Kevin's conduct has deteriorated more. He must improve his shop grade. To me, I think the teacher gave up. I mean, here's a letter sent home to mom. Same grade, same class. Not paying it, please, blah, 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 parent. Please, he is not paying attention. He is, and this was written because it was a form letter, but they didn't have a form for this. So she added, he is constantly throwing spitballs. So, didn't like authority too much. As we got older, his mischief only grew. When I was 18, I bought myself a motorcycle, a new motorcycle. Each night I would lock it up to the large tree in the backyard with a heavy-duty chain and lock. One day, hankering for a cruise around the neighborhood, I went to the yard to get my bike. What do I see? My beautiful Honda XL 350. It was completely mangled. The front wheel was bent. The frame was scratched up. It obviously was in a collision. But it was still locked up with the heavy industrial chain and lock. I stood there for 5 minutes with my mouth open and then went, "Kevin!" When I finally found him 2 days later, I asked him what had happened. He goes, "Why would you even think I had anything to do with this? It was locked up to the tree, wasn't it?" He finally admitted to me 40 years later that he and his friends picked the lock, took it for a joyride, crashed it, put it back, locked it up. That was Kevin. About this time, I began working in the video business. Shout out. Doing weddings and bar mitzvahs. And Kevin began working with me as an assistant. As the saying goes, when he was good, he was very, very good. When he was bad, he was very, very bad. If some piece of equipment broke down on a job, Kevin would fix it. Right, guys? Usually using duct tape and a fork. Once, when we blew a fuse on a recorder, he got it working with a gum wrapper so that we could finish the job. He was the real MacGyver. During his many years as a seasoned assistant in the video business, the new guys, there are some of them there, they're not so new anymore, looking a little rusty, looked to him for advice and to be shown the ropes. Like the best time to disappear so that Jim won't notice. No one did that better than Kevin. From spitballing in 7th grade to adulthood, Kevin was a rebel, always fighting authority. Somewhere in the 90s, Kevin fought the law, and the law won. Big time. He was sent upstate for some hard time. But in usual Kevin fashion, he turned lemons into lemonade. When on the state's dime, he learned a new skill that he always wanted to do, welding. He really enjoyed that, and when he got out a few years later, he got a job in, get this, security. For several years, he installed iron gates, and he had to drive around a company van. Slight problem. He had a suspended license. So when he was stopped by police, he used my name. When tickets started piling up at my place, and I have to preface this, I had a suspended license 10 years before. Most of these guys know. But I had cleaned it all up, and for 10 years I'm a perfect driver. No tickets, no nothing. Now all of a sudden I'm getting all these tickets. So I go to motor vehicle, I tell them somebody's using my name, and it isn't me. Well, who is it? How do I know it's somebody using my name? So they gave me a new name, and to this day my license reads J.P. O'Grady. But the DMV forgot to tell me I didn't have to answer any of those tickets in the old name. So I had to go to court about 20 times. Well, I didn't have to go, but they forgot to tell me that. So I went to court 20 times. I actually was starting to enjoy playing Perry Mason. The judge would say, "Officer, can you identify the motorist?" And the policeman would say, "Yes, Your Honor, I noted it in my memo book. He had a large scar on his bicep." As I pulled up my shirt, yes, the crowd gasped. And the judge said, dismissed. Except for the last one. The last one. I went through 20, all dismissed. I go, the officer says, I signed the memo pad. Obviously, Kevin had signed it. He did a pretty good job, by the way. He'd had years of practice, but the judge goes, let me see something with your signature on it. He already has my license. I show him a credit card. He says, do me a favor, write your name. I write my name. Judge looks at it and he goes, I think it's the same name, same guy. I go, no! I said, I want a handwriting expert here. They said, no, that's it, guilty. You can appeal. You have to pay $75 a page or something. It's very expensive to appeal these things. But it all turned out fine in the end. I went off track a little, sorry. My wife said, forget all that other stuff. Kevin became restless, and it was time for a career move, so he began working with his brother Tom. Apprentice plumber to the rescue. He was a hard worker, and he enjoyed learning the trade. And after several years, he was doing his own plumbing jobs. Did Kevin do anyone's plumbing jobs?
Yes.
They're still holding the pipes? Okay. If not, go see Tom. Then opportunity knocked. It was Paul from next door. Want to be in motion pictures? He might have had a cigar. Kevin asked, what's the deal? Paul replied, you drive a car for a movie shoot. It pays great, they feed you, you hang out with movie stars, and best of all, you can have all the cans of Coca-Cola you want. Kevin hears that and goes, sign me up. So he became a union extra. Is that what it's called, Paul?
Yes.
There we go. Union extra. Problem is, a valid driver's license was needed. And Kevin's was revoked for the last 20 years. With the help of his siblings, he actually cleared up his license. That must have been 50, right? Okay. He had to go to 50 jurisdictions to knock, because they just stay there if you don't answer them. And with clearing his license, a star was born. Kevin worked with many stars, such as Mark Wahlberg, Kerry Russell, and Steve Buscemi. Steve, as Kevin called him, was directing a bar scene and was unhappy with the way the actors were smoking their stage cigarettes. He looked around and yelled, "Where's Kevin?" That's how Kevin became the first smoke wrangler. Not too many movie people here. But, yes. Smoke wrangler.
Yes, absolutely.
See here, okay, he appreciates that. As you saw, Kevin worked on many productions, such as Boardwalk Empire, Men in Black, Blue Bloods, and Orange is the New Black. They seem to use a lot of colors in names nowadays, to name a few. Who can forget Kevin as Captain Teague in, where is that? In Justin's bar mitzvah video, which you hopefully all just saw. What a performance, what a performance. Everyone, but fame did not go to his head. Everyone who worked with Kevin said he was fun to hang out with, always had great stories, and he would talk with anyone. But most of all, Kevin relished his real-life role as Uncle Shady O'Grady. The bad boy of the family. He loved and was loved by his nephews, Mike, Matt, Tim, Alec, Sean, and Justin. And his nieces, they're right here. I should have put them first? Oh, yeah.
Ladies come first.
And his nieces, Maureen and Chrissy. His favorite nieces, Maureen and Chrissy. Many of his friends, and I'd like to hear who, also called him Uncle Kevin. There you go, see? He was happy-go-lucky, and he enjoyed being with the young crowd. Mike and Sean told me every 4th of July, Kevin would bring the biggest box of fireworks, and he, with Tom and Uncle John, and all the kids would spend hours blowing up stuff around the neighborhood. James, you still here? That was one of your fortes, right? Kevin was always interested in what was new with his nieces and nephews. Kevin took time to teach Matt how to weld. Alec decided not to use Kevin's advice about teaching math to his students by using kilos and dime bags conversions. On the other hand, Justin followed in his uncle's footsteps and joined the movie industry. Tim, an avid moviegoer, was surprised and impressed when he saw his uncle show up on the big screen. Mike and Maureen remember that Kevin gave them their first cat, Mickey. The story goes something like this. Kevin was traveling with the family from Queens to Huntington, saying nothing till they reached home. Then he reached into the pocket of his trademark trench coat and he pulled out the cutest kitten, and that was Mickey. Sean remembers how he used to care for the 3 baby raccoons that showed up in the backyard, feeding them granola bars by hand. Kevin called them, you saw them on the video, Huey, Louie, and Dewey. Kevin always had a way with animals, from our first dogs, Trixie and Princess, to Trouble, Bandit, Sasha, and Kaya. Kevin was our go-to dog sitter with our dog, Indy. And he also loved all the cats, and they loved him too. They would love to sleep with him. Maureen and Chrissy remember that Kevin always asked for updated pictures and news of the new animal family members. The family suggests that Kevin would like anyone wishing to donate in his name to give to an animal rescue organization. Kevin did not have much materially, but he always shared what he had. He was kind and pleasant to be around. People enjoyed his stories. He enjoyed rock and roll, mostly the Rolling Stones and the Ramones. Recently, he also enjoyed his gummies. Thanks, Michael. During the pandemic, he was caught up in the rehabilitation center, but Kevin did not complain. As always, he made the best of the situation. He kept in touch with everyone on Facebook and made his daily phone calls. Mine came every evening at night. I think I spoke with him more in the last 2 years than in the last 20. I'm so happy to say that a few months ago, we even began a study of the Bible together. He had many questions, and we looked for answers together. One question we all might have today is, where are the dead? The Bible says at Ecclesiastes 9:5, for the living know they will die, but the dead know nothing at all. The Bible does not say anywhere that we go to heaven or hell or purgatory when we die. Jesus referred to his friend Lazarus as sleeping when told about his death. The Bible says at Revelations 21:4 that he will wipe out every tear from their eyes, and death will be no more. Neither will mourning, nor outcry, nor pain be any more. The former things have passed away. So we can look forward to Jehovah God resurrecting our dear loved ones in the near future. And we can be comforted by the words at 2 Corinthians 1:3 and 4. Praise be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of all mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our trials, so that we may be able to comfort others. At this time, I would also like to acknowledge our cousin Bonnie, who couldn't make it today. Bonnie Quirk, who recently lost her brother and our cousin, Chris Richardson. Bonnie and Chris were close to Kevin. We all miss and remember those who loved Kevin and have passed on to death. Our mom, Nana, Aunt Ruth, Uncle Pete, and Chris. God promises all of us a victory over death in the future. For all of us today, may we be comforted by the hope of a resurrection of our brother and friend, Kevin O'Grady. I look forward to continuing that Bible study I was having with Kevin when we are living on a paradise earth. Until then, may he rest in peace. Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask if anyone has anything to say between the tears about Kevin. If not, Kay will come up, say a few words. Tommy, we used to call him Chill, but
Yeah.
you're not Chill no more?
Not really.
Okay, not Chill no more.
So, Uncle Kev, to my family, which is the Vaughn family, we grew up on Hillside Avenue in 214, Queens Village. And there's so many memories of Uncle Kev, so many. He was awesome. He was such an awesome uncle, not other through blood, but through friendship, through love, and just, through life. And just within the last couple of years myself, he started calling me, and I walked out of meetings. Excuse me, I gotta go, guys. It's my Uncle Kev. And he would just talk to me about roaches sometimes, He was the best about how he didn't like where he was living, or, just all the stuff. He started doing, I think, some exercises. But Uncle Kev, I missed him, and he was one of the best, helped me become a man. A lot of things, and I was in that blue van driving with him. And let me tell you, I started welding when I think he started me welding when I was 11 years old. I remember leaving 109, Queens Village, and he would come to my house, he would show up with a yoo-hoo, and he'd be like, "Why aren't you in school today?" I was like, I have no fucking reason why I'm not in school today. But he goes, "Okay, come to work." And we would hop on the Bruckner Expressway. He would have packets of screws or ketchups, and I was like, what is this for, Uncle Kev? And he'd be like, "The first person that cuts us off, you start throwing them out the window." And I was like, all right, so that was our plan. We'd hop on the Bruckner Expressway, we would drive into Hunts Point. He would set me up with a welding thing. He would say, "Okay, this is the machine, this is Jose, don't burn yourself," and he would go. I would get on the table, I would start welding stuff, and he would come out and he goes, "Okay, we have all these bars." And then we would go somewhere into Brooklyn and we would put these bars on the window. And he's so fucking funny. He would tell me, he goes, "See all these bars?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "But look at the wall. I will go right through the wall." He said, "I will go right through the wall. These bars don't mean shit." It was so great growing up with Uncle Kev. It was so many stories. One time, we missed Christmas in my house, and I'm pretty sure Uncle Kev robbed the Herman's truck. And we had Christmas. We had garbage bags full of toys and bats, Cabbage Patch Kids, everything in my house. And he's like, "Come on, kids, get up." And we had Christmas, and we don't know. Yeah, it was beautiful. Kev was one of the best, and I love him, and I'm gonna miss him, and I know he's with us. I love you, Uncle Kev.
Shot film, right, George?
Yeah. This is Bud Hayfield, an old worker in the video biz. How many years?
Who worked for Mel.
Worked for Mel, way back.
Back in 1981.
My first boss was Mel.
That's right, and I met Kevin obviously because of Jim. And in fact, one of the first jobs I ever worked, Kevin was on. Jim wasn't, for whatever reason, and this guy George was, and he wasn't the greatest guy to work for. And he was yelling at me because I was setting up a light stand in the middle of the aisle at a wedding, and Kevin came over and helped me and said, "Don't listen to him, he's a douchebag." Kevin always had this way of finding things if we needed something. I was talking with the guys earlier, and I remember a story of we had no XLR cable to connect the microphone to the camera to do interviews. And he said, "Hold on, buddy. Give me a few minutes. I think I can find something." I don't know where he went, what closet he found, what AV room he ransacked. But about 20 minutes later, he goes, "You needed a cable, right, XLR? Will this do?" "Yeah, how did you..." "Don't ask." So Kevin had that way, and I was blessed enough to work on a couple of shows with Kevin, Orange is the New Black and The Deuce, because I do similar to Kevin with the driving the cars, and he was just great. He was just amazing to be with. And one last story that I was reminded by someone here in the room, I can't remember who it was. We were driving, I think it was Rolando reminding me that I was driving my car. We were coming home from wherever, and I ran a red light because the guys were yelling, "We want to get home, we want to get home." I ran a red light and on Hillside Avenue, and I got pulled over. And as the cop is coming toward the car, Kevin goes, "Don't worry, but I'll help you with this." How is he going to help me? So, of course, I gave the officer as I was handing my officer my license and everything, Kevin's going, "Don't listen to him, man. He's the man. He's just nothing but..." And the cop looks back at me, and I said, "Kevin, you're fired." And the cop goes, "You got enough trouble with this guy. Have a good night." And that was it. I got out of everything just because I guess the cop was impressed I fired Kevin on the spot. But literally, after the cop left, he went back to his car. I'm not joking. Kevin goes, "You see, I told you I'd get you out of that." And that was Kevin. He literally the guys were egging me on to run the red light. I got pulled over, and Kevin goes, "I'll handle this." I didn't know how in the world he would do it, but he picked a fight with the cop. I fired him, and the cop goes, "All right, I'm on your side, so you're good. You got enough trouble with this asshole." And that was it. And for some reason, I know that's a weird memory, but that was Kevin. That was how Kevin handled things. And I love him for that. And aside from him and Tommy, of course, helping with all my plumbing needs over the years, he was just the greatest guy to know. And I'm so sorry he's no longer with us. And I'm very sad. So I raise a glass to Kevin O'Grady.
Thank you, Bud. Anyone else? Come on, there's more Irish people here with Irish stories. Yeah, we're going to need overtime. All right, we're going to bring... Oh, here we go! We have... Are you a colonel or anything?
Not anymore.
Oh, you're not one?
I'm a free man.
Okay. Thank you for your service. This is our neighbor and friend who also knew Kevin many, many years, Brendan Brosen. Go for it. Go for it.
So this is just a short one, but this is still one of my fondest memories of Kevin. So when starting in 7th grade, I changed schools. So I was going to a new school in Manhattan. I'd never taken the subway before, and I didn't know what to do. So my dad, who was still working with Kevin, arranged for Kevin to be my chaperone on the subway. Take me home on my first day from school in Manhattan in 7th grade. Never taken the subway before, didn't really know what I was doing. My dad said, "Listen, don't worry about it, just meet Kevin, he'll take you there." So it was great. I met up Kevin at the train station. We took the train together. He had a lot of interesting stories to share. He told me he had a theory that the Earth was a giant spaceship. Just kind of giving me the lowdown on what to do in life. It was very sweet. He didn't have to do that. He's just, someone asked him for a favor, "Hey, can you take my kid home from school and show him how the subway works?" And he was happy to do it. That's it.
And he's only half Irish. That's why you got a little one. Anyone? Uh-oh. Here comes the car guy.
He ain't Irish at all.
He ain't Irish, but he's Irish. I don't know how that happened, but you know that. He's more Irish than I am.
Irish by marriage.
Paul Brosen, New York picture car magnate.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'm responsible for Kevin's movie career. So, as we always need people who drive cars, and one day I said, Kevin, hey, listen, do you want to work on Men in Black 3? And he said, sure, no problem. What do I have to do? He said, just come to the house, take the car, drive it to the set, and that's it. Then the key is to find out, in the case of Kevin, where did he keep the Coke? Not the Coke up the nose, but the cans of Coke. So when anybody who worked on the job would say, well, Kevin, where are the coolers? He'd go, they're down over there. He would always know where to find it. The funniest thing that ever happened was Kevin was assigned my 64 old station wagon. It always had a problem getting to the job. It would overheat. Traffic would be backed up on the Williamsburg Bridge. And what car was it? It was Kevin with the olds. But he always made it in time. And the funniest thing was, if you ever see the show, somewhere towards the end, there's the wagon, because it broke down, right outside Men in Black headquarters. Kevin was, I think he really found his calling in the movie business, more than I could say of all the things I've known that he ever did. He was well-liked. He was a natural. In a bar scene, I remember they wanted someone who was a smoker, and that was Kevin. He really found his calling. I'll miss him very much. Thank you.
I see you guys are warming up. Anyone else? We heard from the video end. What about anyone from the plumbing end? Didn't he ever mess up anything? I don't think so. I think we're going to call up Kay.
Lefty, righty, kind of loosey. He never got that right.
Oh, no, the lefty. All right. Well,
Kevin, about the fire, John.
what fire drill? Tell us about the fire drill. What?
Oh, well, I don't want to get into it, but Kevin, everybody knows.
Wait, come up here. Tom. Yeah, a duet. Uncle John and
Uncle John,
Tom.
Kevin, yes. You take it over. I'll just be the backup crew.
Kevin worked with me for a couple of years, so every morning we'd have to stop, we'd have to get a chocolate milk, a can of Coke, you have to roll a joint, and then smoke it on the way into the city. So we were driving a Grumman truck, so the wheel well was a step up, and then you would sit on a stool, so Kevin would throw all his garbage in it. So then one day he lights his joint with a match, throws the match down. So they threw that out the window. No, it went out. We're smoking a joint. Now we're both stoned. I'm John the LIE. He turns his head. He goes, holy shit. I go, what? He goes, fire. He opens the door. The fucking flames shoot up. And he's kicking the garbage out on the LIE. And that was basically the story.
But it's not the first time. Or actually was the first time. I don't know. I think we were on like Mutton Town Road or something. And we're driving along, same thing as anybody the plumbers around here know. Okay, if you drive a truck, the garbage goes into the wheel well. It's just what it's done. So again, we're driving along and there's a big flame. And Kevin, what does he do? He opens the door again. Okay, it even gets bigger. Okay, he sends the hairs on his arm and whatnot. But this is the way Kevin was. Now, I worked with Kevin for many years, and as everybody knows, Kevin smoked. Okay, and from morning, noon, and night. Okay, so thank God I was at least immune to it, I should say. Okay, but we got through every day as it was. Kevin was, every single employee that I got him into loved Kevin. Okay, Kevin he had that way about him to bring everybody in as a friend. I'm sure you all know that as well. And I took care of Kevin for 15 years, okay? And it's kind of hard to stay up here and talk, I will say that. And he was one of my best friends. I don't know where to go with this. Sorry, but.
From a hard time.
Yeah. I miss. Kevin at the end had this routine of calling each person at a certain time. 7 o'clock at night is my hardest time now. That's it.
And now, please give your attention
Just move.
to the only sister in the O'Grady clan, Kate O'Grady Toscano.
Kevin wasn't the only actor in the family, huh? As the only sister, it was a very big shock for us. So, I'm gonna start this and see what happens. Okay. This celebration of my brother's life means many things to many different people. Some are here with us now, and some are not able to join us tonight. But I know that all of those who knew Kevin are thinking about him. Being the only sister, growing up with 3 brothers, losing Kevin so early is difficult, but knowing that Kevin went quickly and is resting in peace is somewhat of a comfort. My brother Kevin was actually brilliant and quick to see things that other people never noticed. He always found a way to get things done, some good, some not so good. Growing up in Queens Village, yay, was a journey in itself. The friends that Kevin made and shared experiences with remained his friends throughout his life. Going through some of Kevin's memorabilia, I found so many letters that his friends wrote to him over the years. His friends never forgot him, especially when he had been in many different living situations and away from home. Many of those friends still kept in touch with Kevin on Facebook or on the phone, which gave him much needed connections during these past 3 years. My brother Tom, perhaps Kevin's best friend, is so, no, wrong one. Okay, my brother Tom, perhaps Kevin's best friend, is so grateful that he was able to see Kevin the week before he left us. They went out to lunch and just talked. Kevin and Tom shared a special bond. Yes, as brothers, but also lifelong friends. They hung out together in the same crowd at the Greens, the Plaza, the Heat Club, the Peppermint Lounge, Bonds International Casino, and the Harrah's, which my brother Tom, where? McHugh's, okay, got it. Yay, McHugh's. Now, a little more serious, many of you may know that Kevin was diagnosed in his late teens with mental illness. In the early 70s, our family began to learn about this chemical imbalance disease. During that time, treatments for this disease was in its infancy, and Kevin went through many trials and struggles to find the right cocktail of medicine that would allow him to live a life without anguish. Once found, it allowed Kevin to be who he was meant to be in this world, and that meant everything to his family and Kevin. Someone recently said to me, no matter what, Kevin always had a smile on his face. Kevin once gave me advice when we were younger. If someone was bothering me and acting crazy, that I should go right back at them and act crazier than them. Several times in my life, I've had to use his advice, and he was right. They backed off really quick. So Kevin, thank you. And thank you for being our brother and part of this crazy O'Grady clan. So I'd like to close tonight with the Lord's Prayer. You can join with me if you'd like. And it's, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And I believe the food is ready. And I just want to say from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for always caring about Kevin.